Good morning. I'm Carlos Brian Olido, and this is my final project for MMS 145. Now, I've chosen three pertinent issues about our network connection. First is no connectivity, second is intermittent sync, and third is wireless network troubleshooting. When we say no connection, it only means that there is a problem between the communication from our computer and the network. The problem can be inside our premise or it can also be outside our premise. But then, for me, we have to do everything in order to troubleshoot before calling our internet service provider. Because sometimes, if the issue is inside our house or inside our premise, and they found out that it is our problem, then there might be a charge. So, determining the no connection issue, if we're using a wireless connection, we see a red X mark here and that can be found in the lower left side of or right side of our screen. And then for us to troubleshoot, the really basic troubleshooting step to do is to restart our router. But before restarting, let's also consider the light indicators. When we see that there is a blinking light, sometimes it's fine, sometimes it's not. But then when we see that there is a red light steady or blinking, then there is definitely a problem. So, for us to be able to resolve it, it's either we restart it or we reset it. Again, restarting is actually different from resetting because when we restart, it only means that we're just refreshing the router. But then if we reset it, some settings might be removed, especially if we're using wireless connection. The password might be removed and it's really dangerous. So don't reset your router without really knowing what are the implications of doing so. So upon checking the router, if there is no problem, we might want to check the physical or wiring connection. So from our router, there is this cord we call the Ethernet. So the connection between the router and the computer, this cord provides the connection from the router to the computer. So if we check the CPU at the back of our CPU, there should be lights blinking. And then when we check the back of the router here, this is where it is connected, the other end is connected. So it also should be blinking. If it's not blinking, then it means that the cord is not good. It might be a bad cord. For us to determine that, we have to get another Ethernet cord. If we have a spare one, we might want to buy one or borrow from our neighbors to check if the cord is the problem. Now, if it's not the cord, we might want to check the filter. Now, this is where our modem is connected or our router is connected. The filter uses, or it has two ports. One is for the phone and one is for the modem or for the DSL. What it's actually doing is just it's separating the digital and the analog signals because those two cannot be combined together. It's like water and oil. So if the filter is not the problem, then we might want to check our computer itself. We might want to check if we are getting a valid IP address. For us to check if we are getting a valid IP address, we just have to press the Windows key on our computer keyboard and the R like Romeo letter. Then type in CMD, like what my screen is having right now, and then click OK. Now we see this black window. We type ipconfig. Now in here, if we see that the IP is 192.168, etc., it means that we're getting a valid IP address and the connection must be there. But then if we're getting something else like 169, it might be a bad IP address and the connection might not be present. Except if we are having a static IP, which is specifically requested to our ISPs for us to get a higher rate or faster connection, that's actually a different case. So If after checking everything in our premise and still the connection is not there, we might want to call our ISPs and check if they have outages or downtimes or if there is a specific problem with their network because that might be out of our hands to troubleshoot. Now, moving forward, for intermittent sync or intermittent connection, there are issues that we have to consider. First is that if we're using gadgets or appliances that emits EMIs or electromagnetic interference. When we say EMIs or electromagnetic interference, it means that our connection might be disrupted for a certain period of time. Now, the example of electromagnetic interference is that when we're using our burglar alarms, if we have alarm system, if we're using it, if it's turned on and at the same time we're using our internet, then it might gonna if it might not be working properly or it might be interrupted. The connection might be interrupted for a certain period of time. Because intermittent connection is that we have a connection, we clearly have a connection, but then it's not consistent, it's not stable. It means that it's a matter of seconds or minutes our connection might drop. So there, that's the EMI. Or if we're living in a walled subdivision, walled or high-rise buildings, that might also be an issue. Or if there are tall trees outside our house, that might be an issue. And the issue or the resolution for that is for us to call our internet service provider. So after turning off your alarm system, after turning off, let's say if you're using your microwave, and it's still not working, then we might want to call our ISPs in order for them to troubleshoot the problem because we might need a different plan that will give us more connection, more strength, and a higher amount of possibility that our connection might not be disrupted by those um, entities that will interfere with our browsing. So, for wireless network connection, normally in here, it's actually a common issue. Sometimes it's connected, but then we don't have any browsing ability. Sometimes it's connected, but it says limited or no connectivity. It means that the network the network is currently experiencing some problem. But then sometimes it's connected and we still can't browse, and there is no problem with the connection. We might want to check the connection itself. What I did normally here is to right click and then forget this network. Because sometimes our computer also can be confused. So if we're going to forget the network and then reconnect it again with a password, then there is a higher possibility for us to get the connection. So after restarting our router and then forgetting the network and then reconnecting it again, the connection might be present or might be established. So those are the really basic things about troubleshooting these three network connectivity issues. And I really don't want to dwell more on hardcore troubleshooting and giving you or throwing you so much jargons because we might not understand each other. So those are the basic troubleshooting for these three connection issues that we encounter every day. And I hope that at some point I'm able to clear your mind and give you some tips about troubleshooting. Thank you very much.